Okay, well, I'm going to work on my slab a little bit more. And if you remember from last time, I put my round ball as my sun on here, and I pinched it out, and when I cut it away, there's a little hollow here. Part that got cut out in the last video was anything that's over 1 inch thick needs to be hollow on here. So the slab's a 1/2 inch thick, and this is a little higher, so there's a little gap in here. Okay, so just remember that. Even my house with those slabs is hollow. Now what I'm going to do is set this aside for a moment, and then I've rolled out kind of a nice piece of clay here for the mountains. And I talked the other day about the drumstick I got at a punk rock concert I used for a clay tool, and I thought this would be perfect for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press this down inside, because my mountains are going to be a little taller than 1 inch coming off the slab. And I'm going to roll it around to kind of thin off the edges a little bit. And I'm not doing the whole thing, but this is going to be hollow on the inside. So I've got this kind of set up the way I want it, and I'm going to set this aside for a second. And then I got this groovy turntable here. It spins really nice, and then I can put my project on here and I can work on it. I'll adjust the camera just a teeny little bit. There we go. Alrighty, so I'm going to put this mountain range on here like so. And I don't really, I want this end to be kind of solid and look like the edge of a mountain. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bend this around a little bit so it stands up nice and tall. And then I'm going to set this right on here. So I can figure out where it goes. I got a little split in it, but that's okay. Probably going to carve into this anyhow. And then I'm going to mark where I need to score, so I can make my attachment. And I'm going to attach this whole thing before I start to shape it too much. And then I'm going to score it up a little, actually very thoroughly, where I'm going to put these mountains down. And you can see how nice my little turntable is to work on. I don't have to run around the table or spin the piece or touch it too much. I'll get this scored up, and then I'm going to get the coil scored up really good here. And I mean, it's now a hollow tube. Now one thing, if you trap air, you're going to have to give the air somewhere to escape. So at some point when I put this on, I'm going to have to pierce the sun here when I close it off, and inside of this tube some. And then I'm going to take a little bit of water, put this on, and I'm going to put a little water on each part I'm attaching. And then I'm going to gently and firmly press this into place. And I'm looking for, the air bubbles and little bits of goo to come squirting out. I'll spin it around and make sure I'm checking the other side, like so, and that looks good. And I'm just going to give this a rough little trim out here. And you can see there's a little air pocket inside, little gap. And I'll take some of this soft clay, I'll roll out a little worm, and I'm going to reinforce this joint. Again, this is really important that you reinforce these edges. Even if you like the kind of natural line where the attachment is, you can redraw that back in. But I'm going to reinforce this so it doesn't crack or pop off. And I mean, we're building these like we're thinking we're going to fire them eventually, so that's how I'm approaching this. And I'm just going to reinforce this little coil, blend it in really good. I can use my rib and kind of draw in a nice edge for the edge of those mountains. And I mean, they're kind of standing a little tall for my liking, so I'm using the soft clay rather than something stiff so I can actually shape this some. I'm going to take my knife and, I mean, I want this to look like a little canyon with a road coming out of it, so I'm going to trim that away with my knife. And then I'm going to kind of make it look like it's going back in the distance and the sun is behind the hill, which that looks pretty nice there. I mean, I'll let this stiffen up. Maybe I'll carve some little edges of the hills. Maybe there's more than one in there, like so. I could carve into it and give it some shape and texture. I mean, for right now, I'm just going to erase it and let it be how it is. And I'll come back and treat it later. And then at some point, you know, because I have those hollows in there, I'll do this now, but you know, I've trapped some air in there. Now I can go through and find a spot on the sun and maybe pierce it like this, and I can pierce this mountain. You know, it's already got the hole here. But if I fill that at some other date, I may want to. But what I can do with it is kind of guess where it is from behind and stick my needle tool in and pierce it, just to let the air and steam out when it goes into the kiln. Okay, and that'll be good enough for now. And I'll let this stiffen up some. I'll add the other side. Then I'm going to add my little road coming up and out of the distance. And then I'll put the sun rays in the sky. Okay. And then before I pack it up, I'm going to get my plastic board, or my board with plastic. I'm going to put this on here like so. And I'm going to give it a little mist. Couple squirts, and then I'm going to wrap it up tight. Making sure to get as much of the air out as I can. And this should hold up, you know, for days and days on end. And then next time I go to work on it, I can take it off here, leave it on the board, or just leave it on the plastic. So I'll do some more steps on a later video. Bye.